Hi again, it's black to move here. What would you do? You can pause the video to think about it, or you can follow the link to the diagram in the description below the video. Okay, so first of all, what is white threatening? If we think about it, then we can see white doesn't have any tactical threats. As a matter of fact, the only white piece that could potentially threaten us is the queen. Or maybe one of the pawns. But the queen is actually not very well placed either, since she can easily become a target to black's pieces. So the next question is, are there any tactics that work in black's favor? You probably noticed that if black moves the knight, then there will be a discovered attack on the queen. But black can't take advantage of this because knight f3 check doesn't work. White can simply capture the knight to get out of check and move the queen to a safe square at the same time. And the same goes for knight to e2 check. White can simply capture the knight and move the queen out of danger in any case. The other very tempting idea is to play knight takes c2, which forks the queen and the rook. And many inexperienced players would probably play this move without giving it much thought. However, and this is the purpose of this exercise, you should always consider your opponent's possible replies before you make your move. And in this case, white can now play queen to b3 check. And after you get your king out of check, he's going to capture your knight. So if you calculated all the forcing variations here, you will discover that there aren't any tactics that work in black's favor. That means you move on to the next step in your thinking process. And that is to see how can you improve your position, or how can you increase the pressure against your opponent. So when you start thinking about how to improve your position, you will realize that you want to develop your remaining pieces on the queen side as quickly as possible. And a good way to do that here is to play bishop to e6. This move is good, not only because you're developing your pieces, but also because you now renewed the threat of knight takes c2. Since white can't play queen to b3 check anymore, your bishop has that covered. This is how you keep your opponent on the back foot. Don't give them a free opportunity to fix their problems if you can prevent it. But instead look for ways to renew your threats and force your opponent to keep making as many passive moves as possible. To conclude this exercise, I want to say that the most important lesson here is that you should think about your opponent's options before you rush into making a move that looks great. I hope you enjoyed this exercise and that you will also enjoy all the other exercises in this series. Cheers.